Hello guys, I encourage you to stick through this whole video. I'm going to answer a member's question inside of my community, the Core Collective community. We have something inside of the community called the Core Collective Inquiry. Members get to ask their most deepest, confusing, profound, and closest questions to their heart. They can ask them and I will answer questions in a video format. And this is an example of me doing that. I wanted to share this question from this wonderful member because it is a very important question, something that I think most of us contemplate or maybe even struggle with on the spiritual path. So stay tuned. You might find this to be extremely informative. And thank you all again for being here. Welcome everybody to another Core Collective Inquiry video where I answer your questions that you ask, some of the most deepest and profound questions, and I share some of my insights and perspective on your questions in video format. We have a wonderful question here, and I wanted to dive into it. So the question states, I have no one in my life, apart from this beautiful community, thank you, who is interested in discovering anything about spirituality or who they truly are. Since I have been trying to live in the now more often and bring my focus to it in discovering who I truly am, I have one person in my life who is very much imposing or projecting their beliefs onto me and telling me that I'm delusional, crazy, etc. But then on the other hand, telling me that they have been awakened for the past 25 years and so forth. This argument was very heightened and I asked them in spirituality awakened vocabulary terms, the profound question of who are you? And the person replied, their name. I had to walk away as I couldn't put focus on it anymore. I felt angry and attacked. I have been very angry and I know it's my response I choose to the situation, but it's making me wonder. Here's the question. How do I know if I am reacting with my ego, so to say, or trying to express my new path? Am I just reacting? I'd love your insight. I think this is an extremely wonderful question and I wanted to share it with everyone because we could tackle a few things here. First and foremost, I just want to say this journey is one of intense introspection. It is a journey that only you can truthfully travel. You cannot force this journey, this introspection, or this investigation on anybody. And I have come across it so very often, and you will as well on this journey, especially if you express what you are learning and what you're investigating, like I do here on YouTube and in the community. People will tell you a million different things. They will call you names. They'll tell you why you're delusional. They'll tell you why you're wrong. None of this matters. One of the core foundations in truly knowing who you are is realizing that truly nothing can offend you. Now, I know this is hard to understand, but it is the truth. Nothing can offend you when you truly know who you are. Because you know and see what everything truly is. And you know that name calling, you know that beliefs, you know that everything else in between is simply part of the illusion itself, part of the dream. So they could call you all the names in the book, delusional, a weirdo, a wacko, insane. It doesn't matter because what you have to see is most people who are unconscious, most people who are asleep, yet will claim to be something. A lot of us spend a lot of time claiming to know stuff, claiming to be someone. This is all part of what is truly revealed to you because your true essence and your true nature, who you truly are, doesn't have to claim anything. I want you to understand that. Who and what you truly are does not have to claim anything. It never could. It doesn't judge. It doesn't push. It doesn't pull. It doesn't have preferences. It simply is. So the name calling and so forth, you're going to hear that often. Now, I don't know if this person is someone you're in a relationship with, a family member or so forth, but maybe they should show you a little more respect if there's someone who claims to love you or so forth. I'm not really going to dive into it in that aspect. But especially if you're just saying this to a stranger or an acquaintance, most people, when you express this to them, they will have no idea what you are talking about. And out of a defense mechanism to protect their framework and how they see reality, their mental construct, they will have a defense mechanism to call you the weirdo. None of that matters. None of that matters. This journey is a journey for you, to discover for you, not to appease anyone else. And that needs to be seen. This journey is one that you walk from the heart, from the inner you. And that needs to be felt clearly. It is never to appease anyone else. It is never to please anyone else. And truthfully, it's never to force it on anyone else. I will give you an example with me. The videos I make and the messages I share, I will never tell anybody to believe me. I will never tell anybody to follow what I'm saying. I will always encourage you to look for yourself in your direct experience and investigate for yourself. Now, I can help you do that, but you have to be dedicated to the path and the journey for yourself and only you. If we touch back here on this question, and they claim to be awakened for the past 25 years, like I mentioned prior, people are going to claim to be everything in between. We claim that's what the whole idea of life is. We claim to be one person, then 10 years later, another person, 5 years later, 2 years later. It's all about claiming different identities. That's part of the show. You should see this, and this will be revealed to you the deeper you dig, the more layers that you peel back. This argument was very heightened, and I asked them in spirituality terms, who are you? And they replied with their name. So you got angry and felt attacked. Then it comes to the question of, how do I know if I'm responding from my ego? I don't want to focus on the term of ego, but I'll say it like this. How do you know if you are responding from a state of not your true nature, a state of the limited self, a state of the identity, a state of from the separate small self, the ego, in other words? How do you know if you are responding to this situation and other situations like that? You know, because you will feel offended and reactive. You will feel the anger. Now, and you will hold on to that, and I attach a story with it. Situations will arise when what we label as the feeling of anger will be felt, and it is intense. I know that feeling very, very well. The point you need to see is, are you observing that, or are you identifying with that? When you said, I felt angry and attacked, I do not mean to dismiss your feelings that arose. I do not mean to dismiss what you were experiencing. But when you said I, that is a response from the limited self. The anger will arise, the intense feelings will arise, the attacked feeling will arise, but you must allow it to be felt and pass through you. You must allow it to be felt and pass through you. You must see that it is like a cloud. Though it may be a very heavy and intense cloud, it may be carrying rain, it may be creating lightning and thunder, it still is a cloud that comes and goes through you. That is how you know that if you held on to that and you did not observe it as it arose, in seeing what was arising as the witness, your true nature, if you held on to it, if you felt reactive in your response to it, that was you noticing. This might actually be something you're already seeing from this question. You are noticing that response felt like the limited self. That response felt like the separate identity, the ego in a sense. And that's what may have inspired you to even ask this question. But you know that when you are reactive to it, when you allow the anger to hang around. Now the story of feeling attacked. So to answer your question directly, you will know if you are responding from the reactive self the separate limited self, when the story remains, when the anger remains, and it is ruminating within you, and now it has become you. There is nothing wrong at all. I want to make sure this is not mistaken with having those sensations and emotions arise. When it starts to become an issue is when you identify as them in a story with them. And I really hope that helps you. I'm looking here if we can answer anything else for you. I guess I'll just lead you to this as well. You're already heading in the right direction. Your question comes from a place of inquiry. How do I know if I'm responding from a state of egosticalness, the separate self? You even posing that question is pointing in the direction that you know that response may have not felt authentic to what you're investigating with your true nature. You are opening a door here. You are walking down a path and starting to question things most people never will. So I want to point that out to you. Continue to question, but most importantly, continue to witness. Next time that intense feeling arises, next time the sensations arise, whatever it may be, any type of emotion, even happiness, just because we say something is good or bad, that does not give it any type of difference that it is not truly us. We like to identify with the positive, what we claim to be positive, and we like to identify with what we claim to be happy. But it is just the same as a feeling that comes and goes through us. When these sensations and feelings arise, simply notice it again. Remember this question and simply observe. Observe the intensity. Observe the story that may arise with it. Observe the thoughts that may describe it. Observing is what you truly are. Witnessing is all that is truly there to be seen and needed to be known. Everything else is of mind. When you act of mind, you create this reality of attacked, angry, frustrated, and needing to walk away, and now very flustered. But you're looking in the right direction. So I very much hope this helps you, and thank you so much for this question. It is a great question, and thank you for being in this community. Thank you for asking questions, and remember, everyone, please share your insights, your comments, or anything that you may have to share with us in response to this video in the channel section. And remember that you can always ask your questions for the Core Collective Inquiry videos. Thank you all.